Welcome, everyone, to what I promise will be the most exciting lecture you've ever had about spreadsheets and diagrams and boxes connected by lines. Okay, I see that look on your faces. Bear with me, because by the end of this session, the humble Work Breakdown Structure, or WBS, is going to become your absolute best friend on every construction project you ever manage. Think of the WBS like GPS for your project. Without it, you're basically a contractor who knows a shortcut through a neighborhood that doesn't exist yet. You've met that guy. Don't be that guy. Today's guide is built on industry standards and academic best practices, meaning this isn't just theory. This is the stuff that keeps projects from turning into expensive chaos. So let's get into it. All right, let's start with the big question. What is a work breakdown structure? The formal definition is this. It's a hierarchical decomposition of the total scope of work to be carried out by the project team. Now, if that sentence made your brain do a little screensaver spin, don't worry. Here's the human version. A WBS turns your giant, terrifying project, the one that wakes you up at 3 a.m. in a cold sweat, into a neat little tree of manageable pieces. Look at the diagram on your screen. See that orange bubble at the top? That's your entire project. Beneath it are sub-projects. Beneath those are individual tasks. It's like a family tree, except everyone actually has to do some work. Now, why does this matter? Because projects fail when work gets overlooked. And in construction, overlooked work doesn't just mean a missed deadline. It means a budget overrun, a panicked phone call to the client, and possibly a very awkward site meeting where everyone stares at the project manager. The WBS is your insurance policy against that nightmare. If it's not in the WBS, it's not getting done. Full stop. Think about a car. A car isn't just a car. It's a chassis, an engine, an interior, an electrical system, wheels. Each of those breaks down further. Your project works exactly the same way. You just have to draw the map. Key phrase. The WBS converts abstract goals into organized, manageable work packages. Every great tool has rules. The WBS has two non-negotiable, tattooed-on-your-brain principles. The 100% rule and mutual exclusivity. Let's unpack both. First, the 100% rule. This means your WBS must capture 100% of the project scope. Not 98%, not, I think that's everything. 100%. Look at the graphic. You've got total scope at the top. Beneath it, work packages WP1 through WP4. The rule says, when you add up all those work packages, they must equal the total. If it's not in the WBS, it is not in the project. Period. End of story. No exceptions. I cannot stress this enough. This includes internal deliverables, things only your team sees, external deliverables, things the client receives, and interim deliverables, those in-between milestones nobody likes to document, but everyone regrets skipping. Now for principle number 2, mutual exclusivity. This one's about overlap. Look at elements 1, 2, and 3 in the diagram. Notice they are completely separate. No overlap. That's intentional. Why? Because if two work packages share the same scope, You get two teams both doing the same thing, billing you for it, and then arguing about whose fault it is when something goes wrong. Mutual exclusivity prevents the project management equivalent of, "I thought you were picking up the kids." No overlap in scope definition, clean lines, clear ownership. Everyone knows exactly what they're responsible for. Common mistake: treating the 100% rule as optional. It is the foundation. Without it, your WBS is just a pretty organizational chart that gives you false confidence. Now let's dissect the WBS like a frog in biology class. But, less messy and more professionally useful. At the top, level 1, you have the project name. That's the whole enchilada, the entire scope of what you're delivering. Simple enough. Drop down a level and you hit major deliverables, A, B, and C in our example. These are the big chunks. Think foundation, structure, MEP systems, major buckets. Go one level deeper and you get sub-deliverables. Under major deliverable A, you might have sub-deliverables 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. You're getting more specific now. And at the very bottom, the most important level of the entire WBS, you have the work package. The work package is where the magic happens. See those orange outlined boxes? Work package 1.1.1 and 1.1.2? These are your atomic units of work. Each one is action-oriented, meaning you can assign it to a person. It's specific enough to estimate a cost, and it's small enough that you can actually track whether it's done. The numbering system, 1.1.1, 1.1.2, is your GPS coordinate inside the project. When your subcontractor asks, "What exactly are we responsible for?" you point to a work package number, crystal clear, no ambiguity. No, "I thought you meant the whole floor, not just that room." Remember, the WBS is deliverable-oriented, what you are producing, not activity-oriented, what you are doing. Deliverables are nouns. Activities are verbs. Your WBS speaks in nouns. Okay, here's a choice you have to make when building your WBS. How do you organize the top level? By what you're building or by when you're building it? Option A is the deliverable-based approach. And yes, I put preferred in the title for a reason. This organizes your WBS by physical components: foundation, walls, roof. You look at the WBS and instantly know what you're building. It's outcome-focused. It's client-friendly. It's the gold standard for construction and manufacturing projects. Option B is the phase-based approach: planning, design, construction, closeout. This organizes work by time periods. It answers when, not what. This works well when your project has very distinct linear stages, or when management is more interested in administrative control than physical deliverables. Now here's the subtle but crucial difference. The deliverable-based WBS tells you what will exist when the project is done. The phase-based WBS tells you when activities will happen. For a building, we care deeply about the what. The foundation, the walls, the roof. Those are the things we're accountable for. That said, and this is the nuanced professional advice, you can mix them. Your top level might be phase-based for management reporting, while your lower levels are deliverable-based for execution. The key is consistency within each level. Pro insight. Always ask, what will exist when this project is complete? Your answer shapes your WBS structure. In construction, the answer is almost always a physical thing, which means deliverable-based wins. Now we're getting into the real stuff. Let's look at an actual project. Building a house. A lovely, fictional house that nobody has argued over yet. Here's what a deliverable-based WBS looks like for a residential construction project. At the top, the house. Beneath it, 7 major deliverables. 1. Project management. This is the administrative backbone. Yes, managing the project is itself a deliverable. Don't laugh. This is one of the most commonly forgotten elements in WBS design. 2. Site work. Everything that happens before the foundation goes in. Grading, utilities, access. 3. Foundation. The thing the whole house sits on, literally. 4. Superstructure. Framing, floors, structural elements, the skeleton of the building. 5. Exterior. Walls, windows, doors, roofing, the skin. 6. Interior finishes. Drywall, flooring, cabinetry, painting, the Instagram-worthy stuff the client actually cares about. 7. MEP systems. Mechanical, electrical, plumbing. The invisible hero of every building. Notice how each of these is a noun, a thing. Not install the foundation, just foundation. The WBS describes the product, not the activity. Those activities come later, when we build the schedule. This structure gives you a clear roadmap for scope definition and cost estimation. You can attach a dollar value to each major deliverable, which makes budget conversations with clients infinitely easier. Real world. On actual residential projects, subcontractors are typically hired per deliverable area. Foundation contractors, framing crews, MEP trades. Your WBS maps directly to your procurement structure. All right, let's turn up the complexity dial. We've gone from a house to a commercial office building. Same concept, higher stakes, more coffee required. Look at what gets added when you scale up. You still have your core elements, project management, site development, structural systems, interior build-out. But now the WBS must expand to handle structural steel. Not just framing, but engineered steel systems that require separate design, fabrication, and erection phases. Building envelope. The full skin of the building, including curtain wall systems, glazing, weather barriers. HVAC systems. Now a full standalone element because commercial HVAC is an entirely different beast from residential. Electrical systems. Same story. Commercial electrical is its own world. Plumbing systems. Yes, separate from MEP in a commercial context because the scale justifies it. Fire protection. With its own regulatory focus, because in a commercial building, fire safety inspections can make or break your certificate of occupancy. Tenant improvements. Because often, commercial buildings are built to a shell and then customized per tenant. This is its own deliverable family. Here's the key insight from this slide. As complexity increases, the WBS must expand to account for safety systems, accessibility compliance, and specialized trades. A residential WBS might have 7 top-level elements: A commercial project might have 15 or 20. But the principle stays the same. Every element must roll up to 100% of scope with no overlaps. The tree gets bigger, but the rules don't change. Notice that fire protection gets labeled regulatory focus. This signals to the team that this element has external compliance requirements. Flagging regulatory elements in the WBS is professional best practice.
Now let's talk about one of the most important skills a project manager can develop: decomposition. Breaking things down. Taking a big, scary deliverable and turning it into bite-sized, manageable pieces. Look at our example, 3.0 Foundation. That's a top-level deliverable. Now watch what happens when we decompose it one level. 3.1 Excavation. Digging the trench and prepping the soil. Duration, 2 to 3 days. 3.2 Formwork. Setting up the forms that will shape the concrete. Duration, 3 to 4 days. 3.3 Reinforcement. Installing the rebar. Duration, 2 to 3 days. 3.4 Concrete pour. The main event. Pouring and finishing. Duration, 1 to 2 days. Each of these is now a work package. Notice what each entry has: a name, a description, and an estimated duration. That's the minimum information a work package needs to be useful. Here's the beautiful thing about this level of decomposition. Now you can estimate, you can schedule, you can assign, and you can measure. Is the excavation done? Yes or no? Is the formwork complete? Yes or no? Binary progress reporting. No more, it's kind of 70% done, maybe, depending on how you count it. The art is knowing when to stop decomposing. You don't need to break it down to the individual shovelful of dirt. You need to break it down to the point where a single person or crew can be responsible, and where you can estimate cost and time. That sweet spot is your work package. Decomposition is judgment, not just mechanics. Too high, and you can't estimate. Too low, and you drown in micromanagement. Aim for work packages that take between 8 and 80 hours to complete. We'll come back to that rule in a moment. Let's talk about how to actually build a WBS. Because you could sit alone at your computer, staring at a blank screen, questioning your life choices. Or you could do something infinitely more effective. Use sticky notes and involve your team. The sticky note method, sometimes called an affinity diagram session or a WBS workshop, is one of the most powerful tools in a project manager's toolkit. Here's how it works. Step 1. Brainstorm. Every team member writes one task, deliverable, or element per sticky note. No editing, no judging. Just dump everything out of your brain and onto paper. Step 2. Stack. Combine the duplicates. You'll be amazed how many times install drywall appears when 6 people write simultaneously. That's not a problem. That's a signal that it's important. Step 3. Group. Organize related stickies into themes. All the foundation notes go together. All the MEP notes cluster. Natural categories will emerge, and those categories become your WBS branches. Step 4. Name. Assign a header to each group. That header is your WBS element. You've just built the first 2 levels of your WBS with sticky notes in about 45 minutes. Why does this work so well? Because, quote, Many heads are better than one. Involving the team reveals missing scope and ensures buy-in. The person who runs the electrical has different knowledge than the person who does the site work. If only one of them builds the WBS, you will miss something. The sticky note session forces collective intelligence into the structure. Plus, and this is psychologically very important, when people help build the WBS, they own it. They stop being confused about what they're supposed to do and start being invested in getting it done. Facilitation tip. Set a timer for 5 minutes of silent brainstorming. Silence prevents groupthink and ensures quieter team members contribute their knowledge. After that, let the discussion flow. Now, here's where a lot of project managers stop short, and it costs them dearly. They build a beautiful WBS diagram with all the right boxes and hierarchies, and then they hand it to a contractor without any additional explanation. Big mistake. Enter the WBS dictionary. This is the data behind the box. Look at our example. We have Work Package 6.2.3, Drywall Installation. The WBS tree shows you the box. The dictionary tells you everything inside the box. WBS code 6.2.3, your unique identifier. Scope description. Installation of drywall panels in all interior rooms. Now everyone knows what this does and doesn't include. Deliverables. Completed hung drywall ready for taping. This is the definition of done. Acceptance criteria. Panels installed per specs. No gaps greater than 1/8 inch. Measurable, verifiable, enforceable. That last one, acceptance criteria, is gold. Without it, done is in the eye of the beholder. With it, there's no debate. Either the gap is less than 1/8 inch or it isn't. Either it meets spec or it doesn't. Simple, clean, legal. The WBS dictionary prevents ambiguity by ensuring the team and contractors share a common understanding of done. Capital D. Contractual, verifiable, undeniable done. Think of it this way. The WBS tree is the table of contents. The WBS dictionary is the actual textbook. One without the other is incomplete. What to include? At minimum, WBS code, scope description, deliverables, acceptance criteria. On larger projects, also include responsible party, estimated cost, estimated duration, required resources, and dependencies. All right, we've built the WBS on sticky notes, we've defined it in a dictionary. Now let's move it into the digital world. Because in a professional context, your WBS lives inside project management software. Look at what you see on screen. A typical software interface showing a WBS in what's called an indented list format, sometimes called table of contents style. The hierarchy is represented through indentation. See how it reads? 1. New toy project, the whole project. 1.1 R&D, a major deliverable. 1.1.1 Idea generation, a work package. 1.1.2 Prototype creation, a work package. 1.2 Product design, another major deliverable. 1.2.1 Design selection, a work package. 1.2.2 Focus group, a work package. Each level is nested beneath the one above it. Visually simple, but informationally powerful.
And when you connect this to a Gantt chart, like what you see on the right side of the screen, each work package gets a timeline bar. Suddenly, you can see not just what needs to happen, but when. Different tools handle this differently. Microsoft Project, Primavera P6, Procore, Asana, Monday.com. They all have their own interface, but they all follow this same fundamental, indented list with hierarchy logic. Once you understand the WBS structure, learning any of these tools is just a matter of finding which button does what. The key point: the WBS is not the software. The WBS is the thinking. The software is just where you store and visualize that thinking.
Software choice. For large construction projects, Primavera P6 and Procore are industry standards. For smaller projects or teams new to PM software, Microsoft Project or even a well-structured Excel file can work. The tool matters less than the discipline. Here's the slide that might just be the most important one in the entire deck, because it shows you why the WBS is not just a planning tool, it's the central nervous system of your entire project control system. Look at the diagram. WBS sits right in the middle, in that orange circle, and it connects to 4 critical project controls. Scope. Scope, the WBS defines the work. It is literally the written description of every deliverable. Without a WBS, your scope statement is just words. With a WBS, it becomes structure. Schedule. Schedule, the work packages become the activities in your Gantt chart. Dependencies flow from the WBS. Your Gantt is only as good as your WBS. Garbage in, garbage out. Cost. Cost, every work package gets a budget. You estimate costs at the package level. Budget allocation is tied directly to WBS elements. Cost tracking compares actuals to your WBS budgets. Resources. Resources, team assignments happen at the work package level. Who does what is determined by which package they're assigned to. Resource leveling and workload analysis are all WBS driven. And here's the sentence that should stop you in your tracks. A change in the WBS reflects immediately across all control mechanisms. That means if a scope change adds a new work package, your schedule has to update. Your budget has to update. Your resource plan has to update. This is why change management is so critical, and why every proposed scope change should be evaluated against the WBS first. The WBS is not just a deliverable list. It's the master document that everything else in project management hangs on. The chain. Scope changes, WBS changes, schedule changes, cost changes, resource changes. The WBS is the first domino. Always treat it that way. We've talked about the WBS as a set of nouns, things that will exist when the project is done. But to build a schedule, we need verbs, actions, activities. This slide shows exactly how we make that translation. Look at the example. Foundation is the WBS element. It's a noun, a thing. But to actually build the foundation, we need 3 activities. Excavate soil. That's a verb phrase. Install formwork. Verb. Pour concrete. Verb. See what we've done?
We've taken one deliverable and generated 3 schedulable activities. Each of those activities gets a start date, an end date, a duration, a dependency, and a resource assigned. That's your Gantt chart. The connection between the WBS and the schedule is so important that PMI, the Project Management Institute, calls this the activity definition process. Your WBS work packages are the input. Your schedule activities are the output. They are not the same thing, but one flows directly from the other. Here's the practical takeaway. When you're building your schedule, every activity should be traceable back to a WBS element. If you have an activity on your schedule that doesn't map to any WBS element, one of 2 things is true. Either that work is out of scope, which means you shouldn't be doing it, or you missed it in your WBS, which means you need to update your scope. Either way, the WBS to schedule linkage is your quality control mechanism for scheduling. Schedule rule. Every schedule activity must trace back to a WBS element. Activities without a WBS parent are either scope creep or a WBS gap. Investigate immediately. Now let's follow the money. Because ultimately, in construction management, everything connects to the budget, and the WBS is the foundation of effective cost management. Here's how it works. Each WBS element connects to 3 financial concepts. 1. Scope. Scope definition. What work is included? This bounds the cost. You can only estimate what you've defined. 2. Cost account. Cost account. A cost account is your accounting unit. It's how you tell your financial system, track money against this deliverable. Every WBS element at the work package level should have a corresponding cost account. 3. Budget. Budget item. The actual dollar figure allocated to that work package. This is where the estimate becomes a commitment. And at the bottom of the chain, cost tracking. The ongoing comparison between actual spending and budgeted amounts at the work package level. Here's the insight that separates good project managers from great ones. Estimate costs at the package level, not the project level. Don't say, this whole project is going to cost $2 million and hope for the best. Say, foundation, $180,000. Superstructure, $320,000. Interior finishes, $275,000. Build your budget from the bottom up. Bottom-up estimating from the WBS produces more accurate budgets than top-down guessing. Full stop. And when you're tracking during construction, you're not asking, how's the project going overall? You're asking, how's the foundation tracking against its $180,000 budget? That specificity is what catches overruns early enough to do something about them. Budget rule. A WBS without cost accounts is a planning document. A WBS with cost accounts is a financial management system. Build it with budget in mind from day one. We've come a long way. You now know what a WBS is, how to build it, how to document it, how to link it to your schedule, and how to connect it to your budget. So let's end with the practical truth. What goes wrong, and how do you avoid it? The pitfalls. Pitfall number 1. Task lists versus deliverables. This is the single most common mistake beginners make. They build a WBS that looks like a to-do list, full of verbs.
pour concrete, install drywall, paint walls. Remember, the WBS is deliverable-oriented. It should be full of nouns, not pour concrete, but foundation, not paint walls, but interior finishes. Focus on what will exist when the project is complete, the outcomes, not the tasks. Pitfall number 2, isolation. Building the WBS alone in a dark room with bad coffee and no teammates. We covered this in the sticky note session, but it bears repeating. A solo WBS misses scope every single time. Involve the people who will do the work. Their expertise is the source of completeness. The best practice. The 880 rule. This is your sanity check for work package sizing. No work package should be smaller than 8 hours of effort. Otherwise, you're micromanaging. No work package should be larger than 80 hours. Otherwise, it's too big to estimate, track, or manage effectively. 8 hours, a day's work. 80 hours, 2 weeks' worth. That's your range. If a work package is 4 hours, combine it with something related. If it's 200 hours, decompose it further. The 880 rule keeps your WBS at a level where it's actually useful. And with that, I'll leave you with the single most important sentence from this entire lecture. A robust WBS is the difference between a chaotic project and a controlled success. That's not hyperbole. That is the lived reality of every project manager who has ever delivered a complex project on time and on budget. They had a great WBS. It starts here. Final checklist. Before finalizing any WBS, ask: 1. Does it cover 100% of scope? 2. Are all elements mutually exclusive? 3. Are work packages sized between 8 to 80 hours? 4. Does each element have a WBS dictionary entry? 5. Is every schedule activity and budget line traceable back to a WBS element? If yes to all 5, you're ready.